And welcome back to the program. We are glad you are still keeping us company here on Good Morning Kenya. But in case you are just joining us, karibu tena sana. I am Jain Wambui. This is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. Remember, you can always check in. Let us know where you're watching us from this morning. Use the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1 across all the social media platforms. My handle is at Jain Wambui. So right now we move on to our family check segment, and today we are talking about money in respect to relationships. This is part of our ongoing series when it comes to relationship 101, but today it's all about finances and marriage. Now, I was just going through some stats, which I'll be sharing with you in a bit, but I have three fantastic guests with me today. I'll start with the lady to my extreme left. She is Ruth Mutunga, joining us today, of course, in the company of her husband. We have Peter Mutunga as well. They are the couple that we're going to be discussing this conversation with here on set. And we also have Anastasia Kihwaga, who is a family and marriage counselor, all coming in to share with us from their part of knowledge and experience. Good morning and karibuni sana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for making time to be with us today. So when I was just doing my research, you know, looking at the top reasons for divorce, money issues comes in at number 3. Number 1, of course, being infidelity, which has been coupled with mistrust. And number 2, get this, and I don't kid you, annoying habits. Annoying habits has been categorized as the second leading cause of divorce in this day and age. We will be talking about that in a bit, but let me start with my guests today. I'll start with you, Anastasia. You know, from your professional standing and having interacted with different couples in different settings, does money matter in a relationship or a marriage specifically, and to what extent?
Thank you very much, Wambui. Once again, I want to thank you for this show. I want first to define what is marriage. I will define in a very basic way and say marriage is a covenant relationship where two mature people come together and with a commitment and also ready to grow together. That is what I will define marriage as today. Then let's talk about money or finances. These are the resources that helps in running a marriage. And therefore today we are going to talk about the relationship between money and marriage. Money is very important. As you have said, I'm even shocked to hear that annoying habits are the second, and money is the third one. Yes. I want to say that money is very important because a marriage cannot run without money, because it's a resource. And resources, they are needed from paying the bills, from taking care of the family. You need money too, because there is a lot of bills to be paid. There is so much to be done with money. However, money again can be the root cause of all evil, and therefore we are going to discuss money in relationship to how can it be useful to build a relationship, as opposed to money being so evil that it cannot bring people together. Number 1, as you come together in marriage, you need to have a goal. Because without a written goal, you know, we can't, and that is why I said I define marriage as a relationship or a covenant or a mutual agreement of two mature people. And therefore, as you come together, have a written goal. Where do we want to go with our marriage? And therefore, as you talk about that, talk about money. Talk about how you're going to use money. Number 2, that written goal needs to be, then it needs to be planned. So have a plan of action. Yes. How are we going to work it out? Because let me say that you can start a marriage with basic minimal. I remember there is a marriage that was done, and this young couple the man only had 100 bob. You remember? And those people, they are thriving. And therefore, we need to ask ourselves, after having a plan, because failure to plan, you plan to fail, and you plan everything, including the money. So before you enter even in marriage, you need to talk about money. All right. And how you're going to use it, and then have strategies, because you can decide on how are we going to manage our money. And therefore, I say communication is very important.
All right. We'll be coming to some of those details when it comes to, you know, the nitty-gritties. But let me hear from you, Peter. Does the financial status of an individual matter in a marriage? And to what extent from where you stand?
Thank you, Jane. And thank you so much for this discussion in this section. So that we be on the same page, there's something I would want to quote from what Anna said. Because money is not the real issue in a family. Yeah? Although money is the root cause of the problem, I'll be very apt to talk about finance, because finance is the management of the money in a family. And want to say that money is not everything in the family. Yeah, people don't get married to go and manage money. No, there is the key role and the key reason why people come together, or why a wife and a husband unite together, not just to use money. Money becomes an issue or a factor to consider in running the business, in running the family. And therefore, financial status of an individual is not one of the key factors, although it's a factor to consider, because you will not run a family without money. You need to eat, yeah. You need to have the children going to school. You need to have the family running. There must be food.
Yes.
The wife will need to go to salon, yeah, and they have a good dress like the other ladies. Otherwise, you will admire others because they are dressed well.
Okay.
So money is a factor in matters of running the family,
all right,
but it's not everything to consider to have the family running.
All right. Now, the same question comes to you, Ruth. You know, when it comes to the financial status of an individual in the institution of marriage, do you think it matters?
Thank you, Jen. And I also appreciate so much for the show. Allow me to say that what my husband and also our friend Hannah said, it is key to have money in the family. Money becomes an issue when you talk about my money in a family, because already a family is made of two, who God has made one.
Yes.
If money becomes mine in a family, as a wife, I say my money, as a husband, say my money, and my property, it becomes a problem. But when money is ours, that now can help family very much, because it can't run, as they say, without money.
Now, speaking of how we run the family based on the money that we have, there comes in the question of splitting bills. And that is also another area that I find so many couples struggle with. And I'd like to know, what school of thought do you conform to? Because we have three categories. We have those that feel the husband should be taking the bigger chunk of the finances and the bills in the house. There's another school of thought that says it should be 50-50. And there's a third school which says we split bills based on our individual incomes. What do you conform with, Ruth?
My take on that, thank you, Jen. My take on that is that the money in the family, it should be meant for every one of you as a couple. You get money, plan the money according to the priority, and let nobody say there is money for daddy, there is money for mommy. Money should be meant for family, and even the property should be meant for you too, but not an individual in a family.
Well, you haven't answered my question on how the bills should be split.
Again, Jane.
All right, let's hear from Peter.
If I can just add on that one. A family is not run like a business, I understand, Jen, how you are.
No, we're trying to have a very realistic conversation here.
Very realistic,
because bills have to be paid.
For sure, bills have to be paid.
Yes.
Yeah, bills have to be cleared. There are people who will say, okay, you will pay school fees, I'll pay the house rent, and you will pay, whatever, I will pay the other thing, like splitting the two.
Yes.
My own thought would be if the family, the wife and the husband, because they know what they get. Each partner knows what the other partner gets, yeah? you just need have to say, this is what we pay. Consolidate the funds together, put them together, whether they are in different accounts or not, and say, this is the priority. We'll pay the rent, we'll pay the fees, we'll pay that. So if you go withdraw, you withdraw to pay the rent because I'll not be around. Or you withdraw to pay the fees because I'll not be around.
Okay.
Or you will be the one who will be going for shopping. The reason why I'm saying so, sometimes you say, okay, me, my working, I'll be paying rent. Yeah, and I will be paying school fees, which also works, yeah, and you'll be doing shopping. Suppose when I will not be working and I don't have an income, what will happen there, Jain? Because then you will tell me, no, I cannot carry this load. It's too much for me. But you see, if we are now used to, with accounts, we have money, and we are paying, even when one of the partners is not working, they will still have to come together and say, we can utilize this money with this priority.
Okay, let me come to you, Doc. You know, looking at splitting bills in relationships, because bills have to be paid. Both parties could be earning, one party could be earning. What is the best way you would advise a couple to go about this? Because we're living in a time where Steve Harvey is telling people the man should cater for 85%, woman 15%. What do you advise?
I want to say, I echo the sentiment of the couple.
Yes.
And one thing I want to say, that these two different, I said marriage is a union of two, and there is that mutual agreement. However, these people, they are coming from different background, cultural background, and there is something else that has emerged in the current age, the social status. And there are people who are succumbing to social pressure because they want to do as others are doing. But I want to say, let there be an agreement between a couple. You can either decide, we are going to split the money into two, or you decide you're going to have a pot whereby you have a common pool where you put your money. All you say, you agree on how you're going to use the money. Because if you don't agree on how to use the money, as Ruth has said, maybe you're earning 50,000 today, tomorrow you're not working, and you're the one who's paying rent, meaning the rent will not be paid. Are you going to steal? So I am for the opinion, let there be a common pool whereby there is that transparency that this is what I have and this is what I have, and let there be a budget as opposed to splitting. As opposed to saying that I'm the one who is catering, because if you say I'm the one catering for the grocery or I'm the one taking care of the food, sometimes I'll say you will not eat as per my pocket.
Okay.
So let there be that agreement, and that one will work well by there being a transparency and then having a budget, even as you're splitting. Because honestly, if my husband is earning 20,000 and I'm earning 50,000, will I allow the kids to be at home? Then there is a problem, and that one may be from my culture. Like from where we stand, Wambui, I understand the man, of course, is under pressure because they need to foot bills, they need to pay rent. Because even the ladies will tell you, I've worked with men and they're telling me, how can I live in somebody's? How can I live with a man? And I'm the one paying for him rent. You know, it's awkward. But if we have a budget, you know, a man he's the head of the house, and we still respect him as the head of the house. But again, there has to be that respect whereby the finances, we are in times of economic strain.
All right.
And the economic strain, sometimes we can push somebody offside.
Okay.
And therefore, let's work with a budget. And budget will help us to bring the transparency of our finances.
All right. Now, Doc, and still keeping up with you, money habits is also another area that so many couples struggle with. They say two opposites always make the best couple. You find a relationship where one partner is a spender, the other is a saver, or both are spenders and both are savers.
Yes.
But now, understanding your partner's relationship with money, why is that important? Even going back to understanding how they were raised, to know, so as to understand why they behave the way they do with money.
Yes.
Why is it important to understand your partner's history and relationship with money growing up?
When you understand where your partner is coming from, like the background, you're able to know their personalities.
Yes.
There are people who are the outgoing, you know, the happy-go-lucky people. And once they see 1,000 there, you know, they just go do a salon, do their fingernails and all that, and do the art and makeup. But there's somebody who will see 1,000 there because of their personality and their background, they were raised in a way that I need to plan for my money. Like, we need to start, their families whereby we need to start early. Like, personally, when I'm training my children, if my daughter is going back to school, I tell her, bring the list of the things you want. Why? Because I want her to know that there is budgeting. Because there are people who are impasse, and there are people who are spendthrift, depending on the personality. The sanguines, of course, if you're married to a sanguine, be ready to be taking her out every now and then.
Why are you pointing fingers?
If you're melancholy, you must work with a budget, because there are people who are rational.
Yes.
They will plan everything. If you're with a choleric, it's my way against your way.
Yes.
If you're with a phlegmatic, that is a person who will just be quiet. Sometimes they agree or disagree, but in a quiet manner. You may ask them for money, and then they will never answer. So get to know, where is this person coming from? Apart from that, there are people who are raised by people who are spenders. They had money. Me, I'm raised from a family whereby we had a humble background.
Yes.
And we are used to being conserved and reserved in terms of money. And that is why I say it is important, Wambui,
yes,
before people enter into marriage, let them go through a proper premarital counseling. That is where you'll talk about money, talk about personality, talk about how you'll start saving. You know, Wambui, you can enter in a marriage, and from the word go, we decide that I'll be saving 100 bob every day. You know, every day 100 bob from both of you, and then bring them into the pool. And then after bringing them into a pool together, you start growing. Because we are living in times whereby people are entering into a marriage as a for commercial purposes.
Okay. Now, let me come to you, Peter. You know, still looking in line with understanding your partner's background and how they grew up around money, there comes in the question of investing. And we have seen so many conversations around this. Don't invest with your wife, invest with your wife and your husband. What do you advise when it comes to investments in a marriage with your partner? Are you pro investing together because, you know, together is better? Or are you pro separate investments because, you know, business and relationships, they don't mix?
They don't mix. Thank you, Jain.
Yes.
Investment, since this is in view of a family,
yes,
I would also want to be more concerned about the view of a family, because from the one go, family is a union, is a unity. It means that people are working together, living together, thinking together, doing everything together. And therefore, when it comes to investment, there should be no difference of that now togetherness here, Jain, is not going to work.
Yes.
No, here, you see, here I have some 10 matatus. You see, I'm the one managing the matatus. Please, we should not, here we should not talk. No, there's nothing like there is a field where we're going to exclude the unity. You know, marriage is an institutionalized relationship of unity between a husband and a wife. The unity matters across all the areas in matters finance. There are people who realize, or even fail to realize, or fail to know that their wives or their spouses have invested. They have 3 plots, and they were not aware. And then they come to ask them, who has given you the money to build those 3 plots? You have to tell me. And this began, okay? There are people who realize, kumbe my husband has a wool estate. I never knew. You know, and even others, yes. Jain, do you guess that others even, they die when their spouses do not know the investment they have made? And the investment is quartered by the lawyers and the people who are taking care of the will and all that, because your wife doesn't even know the will, yeah? So the good investment is the investment that is going to be run by the couple together. So whether I will be there as the director and my wife will be the manager, it doesn't matter. But as long as my partner is aware of the investment we are going to put, that one helps. That even when I am not there, my wife was there. She could see how we were running the business. It will not just go off. You have seen businesses and investments that go off when one partner is not there.
Okay.
The other partner squanders the money, and that is all. So the good investment is the investment where we have the family as a couple running the investment, or be aware of the investment in the
So even if you're not investing together, at least the other partner knows
being aware is very
of
key.
the business venture. You share the same sentiments?
Yes.
All right. Now, when it comes to protecting this investment, do you think before a couple gets married, are you pro-signing a prenup, so that you separate what I had before this marriage and what we will amass during this marriage?
Thank you, Jen. And you have quoted something which is very good.
Yes.
Before they come together. And allow me to say that there is where things begin. Because
before the marriage,
before they marry, before anybody comes in, become your wife, become your husband, because you must think about the institution you are getting into, and that is the family, and you must think about the investments, and you must think about your savings and your future as a family. Once you have that thinking in your mind and you plan together as a family, there is now some of the issues that you are going to be able to conquer as you grow together as a family.
All right.
Because this, what you have planned, will stick and will be there for the rest of your lifetime. You'll be with children, they'll be able to know where you are coming from. And this plan that you have, you will be able to carry on with it as you continue. Every investment that you have made as a family, you'll be able to run together as a family, and you'll be able to have the full knowledge, each one of you as a family.
Okay.
Yes. And maybe still
very briefly
on the same, when I married her, or when I've married her, and she had a business, she had a matatu on the road, she will not tell me, now you see, my matatu, that was my matatu, let us plan hours here. And I will not, when I marry her and I had a plot, I will not tell her that was my plot, now we can invest together. Marriage is where people are coming with their whole basket of whatever they had. Each partner with their basket, we put here and say, I had a plot. Can we develop it further? Can we make it further? In other words, can we now unite what we had, our ideas, the investment we had individually, so that now we can put it together and now run it together as a family. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Now, as we draw the conversation to a close, let me come back to you, Doc. When it comes to understanding red flags and green flags in relation to money within the marriage institution, what do you advise our viewers to look out for? Red flags, meaning apa ni kubaya, and green flags, this is good for the marriage.
Working.
Yes, very briefly.
Yes, thank you for bringing out that. There are defaulters in marriage and deadbeats. And the name calling, it comes out. That is when you see somebody, they're not very open with their finances, because if I don't want to commit in this marriage, and that is why as we continue, I want us to answer these 5 questions that a couple should answer. You need to ask yourself, why am I in this marriage? Number 1, the purpose of marriage. And that is why we seek for commitment. Because that is why we get the defaulters and the deadbeats and the people who are hawapangwingwi. Lakini kwa doa, lazima tupangwe, because either way we have to foot the bills, and therefore we need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of marriage? Ama, are we just coming to be together for some time? Because if you're coming, either I have seen you have a jackpot of some money and I'm joining you and then I run away. Please, it's very good to know before you started, why are we coming together, the purpose. Then ask the question, what are we going to do about our marriage? Then ask, number 1, we said why, that is the purpose. Number 2, we say what. Number 3, what is the purpose of our marriage. Number 3, where are we going with our marriage? Then have timelines. We have these goals. How are we going to achieve them? And then ask the question, how? And therefore, the red flags is whereby you hear that somebody doesn't want to commit in the budget.
All right. Now, my directors are telling me we are completely out of time, but this is a conversation that we are going to continue with, because we can never exhaust money issues. money issues have become a very sensitive conversation, and my director just says we'll continue with this conversation next week. But we have been speaking with Anastasia Kihwaga, who is a family and marriage counselor. We also have our couple with us in studio today. We have Peter Mutunga and Ruth Mutunga. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in regards to this conversation.
Thank you, dear.
All right, so as we bring the program to a close, we want to leave you with the live event that is currently ongoing at the Sarova Stanley Hotel, which is about the launch of the State of the Media Survey Report, which is a survey that was conducted towards the end of last year, December to be specific, which was aimed at gauging the level of trust in media when it comes to Kenyans in reliance to the news that is celebrated. So this is an event that will be happening in not too long, of course. As and when it starts, we will be bringing you that live broadcasting, and the chief guest is Miss Esther Koinet, who is the Principal Secretary, the State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunication under the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs. That will be coming up in not too long. But for now, we want to say thank you for being with us. Be sure to join us again tomorrow morning right here on KBC for another edition of Good Morning Kenya. I'm Jain Wambui. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.